Hey guys, today we're going to be working on 6-2, which is on solving equations with multiplication and division. So one thing to remember that I want you to note before we get started on here is this right here. The only thing that's different from what we're doing today is now if I multiply or divide by a negative number, I have to flip my inequality sign. Okay? So the graphing is going to stay the same. So I'm not going to cover the graphing today. I'm going to cover mainly how to solve these equations. The graphing, if you're not still sure how to graph, go back and watch the 6-1 video. Okay? So when you're solving these equations today, we need to do the opposite. So when they look like fractions like this is b divided by 7 or b over 7. So to undo division, we have to multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides by 7. And when you do that, you still get the same. B is greater than or equal to, that is going to be 175. And that's how you solve those, okay? You're doing the opposite. Now, on one like this, r divided by negative 6 is less than 36. You're going to have to multiply by negative 6 on both sides. Now, we multiplied by a negative number, which I just talked about is going to change our equation a little bit. So now we still have r. We need to flip our sign. Okay, it was a less than sign, now it has to be a greater than sign. And it does that because if we made a number line, we're going to the other end of the number line. So since I flipped my sign now, instead of it being a less than, it's going to be a greater than. And then you take 36 times negative 6, which gives me negative 216. And that's how you do the ones with negatives. Okay, so if we keep working through these, if you look at here, we got q divided by negative 2 is greater than 25, so we're going to multiply both sides by negative 2. Now, since I multiplied by a negative, I need to take my sign and flip it. So it was a greater than sign, now it's a less than sign. And I get negative 50 when I multiply there. Okay, next one, I just multiply by 15 to get rid of that division on both sides. So now I have m is less than or equal to 45. I don't flip my sign because it was not negative. It was a positive. So I leave my sign alone. Okay, so on to the next one. We're going to multiply both sides by 4.5. We're going to leave our sign alone because it wasn't negative. Okay, and what we're looking for is this number to be negative. Okay, so since this number is negative, we're going to flip it. Or sorry, this number is positive, so we're going to leave it alone. And that's going to give us 225. Okay, I do get a lot of questions. Let's just say that, say I change my equation a little bit. Let's go with like 7, not 7. Let's go with r divided by 7 is less than negative 2. I'm going to have to multiply by 7 on both sides to get rid of this. But I am not going to flip my sign because like I just said, this is the number that if I multiply on is negative. So if I multiply both sides by a negative number, I would flip it, okay? But here, since only one side has multiplying by a negative number, I'm going to leave it alone. Now, like I said, if this was a negative 7 and we multiplied both sides by a negative 7, then I would end up flipping my answer and getting something different. But it wasn't negative to start, it was positive, so that's why you leave it alone, okay? On to the next ones. How do I get rid of multiplication? I got to divide on both sides. So I divide both sides by 4. X is going to be less than 3. Okay, now this is a prime example. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 6. Now since I'm dividing both sides by a negative number, I need to flip my sign. It was a greater than, now it's a less than. And that gives me negative 6 for an answer. The one tricky one I think we're going to have the most problems with today is fractions. So if you ever run into any with a fraction, the first thing we're going to do, so we have this equation. I'm automatically going to put my whole number over 1. Okay? If we're working with fractions, we're going to keep them all as fractions. Then I need to multiply both sides. Okay? And what I know this is multiplying, but to get rid of fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So basically you just take your fraction and you flip it. So I'm going to multiply both sides by my reciprocal. X, now I multiplied both sides by a negative. If you look right here, that was negative and that was negative. So that is going to flip my sign. And then this gives me negative 25 over 2, which you can leave it like that. Okay, same thing on the next one. So if we look at the next one, it says 3 over 6, x is greater than or equal to 6 over 9. So you have to multiply both sides by the reciprocal when you're dealing with fractions. So you just flip your fraction and multiply that on both sides. And when you do that, you're going to get top times top, 36, bottom times bottom, 27, and then you just check to see if you can simplify. So can I simplify 36 over 27? Yes. I get 13 over, sorry, I don't get 13, I get 12 over 9, which I can simplify down again to get 4 over 3. And that is how you multiply and divide inequalities. Okay? So hopefully that's making sense. Hopefully you're understanding. Thanks for watching, guys.